Good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon, Tim.
Can you guys hear me well?
Hi, Tim.
Hey, how you doing? Janna, Julie, great to have you guys here. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, today I'm here with two amazing strategic partners, Julie Turner and Janna Wolff of MBH Settlement Group, located, actually they're in Fairfax, Virginia, but they're located throughout the whole DC, Maryland, and Virginia area. And I tell you what, they have some exciting information they want to share with you today. And I just wanted to bring them on the line just to really have them share some information with our new home buyers. And Julie, she's actually the corporate marketing marketing specialist with MBH Title, and Janna is our resident attorney, managing attorney here for MBH Title, our go-to people. So, ladies, glad to have you on the line today. Thanks for taking a little bit of time. I know it's holiday season. We got things to do. Christmas is gone, but people preparing for New Year in 2021. And I'm just excited you guys will take a little bit of time to just educate my new home buyers of what's coming up 2021 so they can better prepare themselves. Okay. And yeah, so glad to have you. Glad to have you. And I know you guys are exhausted. And the reason I say that is because this year has been truly exciting year, fast paced for the real estate market. I think you two can attest to that. I know the number of homes we sold, the transactions that have came through your hands and with homeowners has been just phenomenal. And I think it's just going to continue on into 2021. So it's really exciting for the jobs that we do and the people that we help. And I appreciate you guys for being, so professional, very proactive. And I couldn't do my job if it hadn't been for you guys to really be on it when we send a contract over to you guys, and Janna, you sit down with them at the table and explain everything, and we're going back and forth, and some of them are tough, but you guys always seem to have the right answer and lead them in the right direction. And so I really appreciate you guys, and you are my go-to people that whenever there's a transaction, MBH is where I'm sending them. I tell you, awesome.
Thank you. Awesome. Thank you, Tim, so much. And it's mutually on this end as well. We love working with you, Tim. You're an amazing agent with EXP, and just partnering with you has been fantastic. We have witnessed you as an agent with your clients, and you're unbelievable as well. Your attention to detail, your professionalism, and the knowledge that you also bring to the table as well as an agent has been unmatched. So it's been a pleasure working with you, and we really enjoy working with you and appreciate your business.
Thank you.
So just wanted to say real quick, thank you again for having us on. We are MBH Settlement Group. We have been around for over 25 years here in the DC area. We're licensed in all 3 jurisdictions, Maryland, DC, and Virginia. We have about 20 brick and mortar offices throughout the area as well, each of them leading with a managing attorney. And of course, today we have our amazing managing attorney for our Fair Oaks office, Ms. Janna Wolff. She's a freaking rock star. So today, again, we're just going to talk about some points that maybe new home buyers might overlook or not think about when they're excited to purchase a home. So again, thank you for having us on today, Tim, and we really do appreciate you.
Thank you. And just a caveat that I know my home buyers, they're so excited. I call them up to check and see how things are going and this, that, and the other. And of course, they're shopping, of course, and getting things done. And, and then the dust is settling and they really wrapping their head around that now they're homeowners and what they do, what are they to do now that they're homeowners? But what I like to do is, I know that at the end of the transaction, it may be kind of the last time that they may see you guys going out the door getting the keys, but my relationship continues on with them. But I still need the expertise of you guys to educate my buyers of some of the advantages that they get, some of the advantages of home ownership, and some of the things that may fall through the crack, and all the excitement that they can take advantage of, in upcoming years, maybe tax, maybe wills, different things that, you guys may deem that are very necessary that may, as a homeowner, that you may have to deal with later down the road, had not they prepared themselves, or really just to prepare our homeowners for, really having that lifetime of home ownership. So what I'd like you guys to do, just to share today, anything that can help our home buyers or even potential home buyers to know some of the advantages and things they could, that are available for them as new homeowners. So whichever way you guys want to go, I just want you to just share your expertise with our homeowners and home buyers.
Sure, I'll kick it off. First, I want to say to your potential home buyers and the home buyers who you've already worked with, one of the most important things at the beginning of the process is picking the right team. And that means picking the right agent and picking the right title company. And you've got the right agent in Tim because he knows what he's doing. He's gonna work hard for you, and he's not going anywhere. And I think that is a critical point of that also applies with title companies. As Julie said, MBH has been in business for over 25 years. And although you may initially think that your relationship with Tim or with your title company ends once the transaction is done, that's actually not true. With Tim, he's going to continue to follow up, and it may be that your home needs change as your family evolves or as your situation evolves. With the title company, your relationship with us doesn't end either. We have clients who call us, 3 years, 10 years down the road, and maybe you have misplaced some of your documentation, or maybe your family situation has changed and you bought the house when you were a single person and now you're married. MBH is here, we're not going anywhere, and we can help you down the road as those issues pop up. And I think that is important to keep in mind. People who have experience in the industry, but also longevity, who if we've been here for 25 years, we're going to be here for the next 25. And the fact that you can rely on that should give you comfort, and actually should be something that you seek out, because we've got the expertise, we're here to take care of you, and we're not going anywhere. So that is step number one, surrounding yourself with good people. But once you have actually bought the home, there are, as Tim said, there are a couple of things that you should keep in mind. Homeownership is a fantastic thing. It is a great tool for building your personal wealth. It's a great tool for really putting down roots and belonging to a community and building a life. And I think it's a good and wonderful thing, both of those things, having a place where you belong, but also building your personal equity. Those are not only for yourself, but for generations down the line. And so what do you do when you're just starting out, for that first home or for that first year, when you are buying your house? What you want to do is, it is going to require a bit of organization, but you have to keep all of your paperwork together. If you bought in 2020, when you start to prepare your taxes that are due in April of 2021, there are going to be tax advantages that you can take advantage of that are really, you're going to feel that benefit. But it's going to require documentation, because the IRS always requires documentation. Yep. The first thing is your settlement sheet. That is going to have your closing costs on them. And so you'll be able to, it'll just be a supplement. If you're preparing your taxes, your tax software is going to ask you questions about your closing costs, and you'll just refer to that settlement statement and you'll plug in those numbers. If you have a tax attorney that you work with or a tax accountant, all you have to do is send them that, and they're like, yep, I've got everything I need. But then so that's just your first year. You're going to want to keep all of your paperwork together. And at MBH, we're going to give you, we call them our black folders, but they're black folders with our logo on it, but that will help you stay organized, because we're going to give it all to you at the closing table. And then we will also send you a PDF of your electronic documents, so that you'll have it not only in paper copy, but also in electronic format. And so you'll be able to pull that together from that closing folder. Okay. Then the question becomes, what happens, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years down the road when I decide to sell the house? Or what if it has become an investment property? What can I deduct? Things like that. And so what I will tell you as you own your home, really, I tell this to everybody, now you own this asset and it's really big, you need a fireproof safe. So whether that is, a lockbox in a bank, or whether it's an actual, my husband and I, we have a little fireproof safe in our house. But with that, that's where all of that documentation goes in. And then what we have done is not only with our black folder from when we bought the house, we have renovated our kitchen and we've renovated the master bath. So you're going to want to keep all of the costs associated with that, because ultimately when you sell the house, especially if it's an investment property, you're going to, when you're looking at whether there is taxable gain, you not only have your purchase price, but you have all the money that you've put into it. And so as long as you can document all of the improvements that you've made, then that will lessen your tax liability. So if you can keep all of that paperwork together, then when you go to sell the house, it will be much easier for you to figure out if there are any tax consequences. And so organization is really going to be the key, and just keeping all of your paperwork together so that you can figure out your numbers. Because it's going to be important whether it is your primary residence, or if you know it is actually critical if it's an investment property off the bat. But a lot of times people will buy an initial home and then, maybe it's a smaller home, and then when they upgrade, they actually keep what was their primary as an investment. So what started off as a primary home where you wouldn't think there would be any taxes, then you've converted into an investment property. And so you want to keep, that's the other reason why you need to keep all of that paperwork together, because while initially there may not have been any gains that you would have to recognize, once it becomes an investment property, that changes the rules. So if you can just start off organized from the beginning, keeping all of your paperwork together from not only your initial purchase, but also any improvements that you've made, if you can keep it all together, that really helps you down the road. Because you do home ownership, there are a lot of tax advantages that can come with that. So not only do you have, it's a vehicle for building wealth and then equity that you can cash out when you sell, but there are also annual tax benefits. You get interest deduction and other deductions associated with home ownership. Not only that first year, but your interest deduction, if you have a mortgage, will happen every year. So those are all good financial breaks as you file your tax return that are really beneficial.
Janna, one question. When you said about when you turn your regular property, say your primary, and then you turn it into an investment property, because I have a lot of people that maybe they start off as their first home, now they get married, they buy the bigger home,
Right.
they're deciding to rent out the other house or sell it. And one of the questions they want to know is like, when they have to move to that next tax bracket as far as paying taxes on that capital gain, how long, if they rent it out, is there a time frame, like if they haven't lived in it for a year, 2 years, or what is it when they have to pay that capital gains? Or as soon as they turn it over to investment property that year, the next year they have to pay capital gains? How does that work?
So right now, and tax laws change quite frequently, so you have to be careful, but right now, if they were selling their property, one of the questions I would ask them is, has this been your primary residence for 2 of the last 5 years?
Okay.
And then the next question is, have you sold another primary residence in the last 2 years? And so if they have not sold another primary residence in the last 2 years, and it was their primary residence for 2 of the last 5, that there are other questions that we also ask, but those are the 2 big ones in terms of how long you can have it as an investment property before, without having to recognize the capital gains. Okay. So 2 of the last 5 as your primary, and then you haven't sold a primary in the last 2. But there are price points that we also keep in mind. The other thing that I want to talk about with that I get a lot of questions at the table is when you have a loan, and it's there are typically at least 2 documents where the borrower is saying, yes, this is going to be my primary residence. And the question that I get asked is, well, yes, it's going to be my primary residence, but what if I want to make it an investment property? Does that mean my loan gets called, or is this no longer true? And the answer is, when you're borrowing the money and you're buying the house, what is your intention in that moment? As long as while you are at the table, it is your intention that the home is going to be your primary residence, then you're fine. Typically, as long as you keep it for your primary residence for at least 1 year, lenders will not, it won't raise any red flags. In theory, you could sign the loan documents day one and buy your house. And then what if a week later you found out you were getting transferred for your job and you had to move? You could turn it into an investment property. It would require documentation that you didn't know that the move was coming and things like that. So there are small workarounds, but it's just going to require documentation. But
Okay.
it won't raise any red flags as long as it's your primary for a year.
Okay. Wow, that's
Okay.
good. Know that. Okay.
So the other thing that so that's sort of taxes. We want to talk about your deed, and especially in Virginia, a lot of times, and most especially during COVID, we are no longer having our sellers sit at this table at the same time as our buyers. So it's not like we're all around a table and it's very happy and everybody's signing together. We have split the transactions. The sellers sign at one point and the buyers sign at another. And part of that is just to dealing with everybody's schedules. And part of that is right now limiting the number of people who are together in a conference room. So a lot of times buyers will not see, they may not see the signed deed when they're signing their documents. And the deed is what shows that you actually own the house. It says, I, Janna Wolff, own 123 Main Street. And I bought it from Julie Turner. So that's what the deed says. What will happen, so part of the title company's job is we get the signed deed from the seller and we get the deed of trust, which is your mortgage, from the borrower. And we have to record those in land records. And land records is actually a public building in each county or jurisdiction. And we can now record them electronically. At MBH, we've been doing that for years in certain counties. But it's still their tangible documents. With the deed, we will send that back to the new owner, and we will send them the original deed with we call it a wet signature, the original pen and ink signature from the seller that transfers ownership from the seller to the buyer. We will also send you a copy of that deed that has the stamps on it, and stamps are where you could actually go to land records and find your deed. You'd say, I want to see instrument number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or you'd say, I want to see this deed recorded in this deed book and at this page, and they would be able to find it. In Virginia, our land records go back to the 1700s because that's how long property has been. Yeah, it's really, if you're into historical records and things like that, it is really fascinating. You can go back and just keep switching backwards that far. And if you want, you can just go see your own. But what I do want to say is when you receive in the mail that original deed and the copy, just take a quick glance at it. Make sure that your name is spelled correctly. Make sure that, the title company should have verified that. And at MBH, that's definitely what we do. But it is also, it should be a moment of pride to say, yes, this is my proof that I own it. I have a tangible piece of paper that says this house is mine. Now it may be subject to a mortgage, but still, it's yours. And I personally think it's an exciting thing to see. It's, documentation that asset is yours. So just look at it, make sure it all makes sense. If you have any questions, you always pick up the phone, give us a call. We can kind of break it down for you. And in Virginia, the way the transactions work in Virginia, the title company, everybody signs their papers, the seller sign and the buyer sign. And then we have 48 hours from which we are able to actually record the documents. And so in Virginia, that actually takes place rather quickly because we have to get the new deed recorded, meaning we go through the land records process, and then the county is aware that you, the buyer, are the new owner. And then once we are on record, meaning it's been recorded in land records, then we give everybody their money. We give the seller their proceeds. We pay the real estate agents, and we pay off any old mortgages, things like that. So all of that happens after that 48 hours. Maryland and DC are a little bit different. In Maryland, the parties get paid at the table or that day, and then the recording happens. So Maryland has slightly less strict timelines in terms of getting on record or having the new deed recorded than Virginia, but it happens the same way. It still gets submitted, and there are public buildings where you can go research your land records and your property in Maryland as well. So just that deed is, once you get it in the mail, you should definitely add it to your closing documents and keep it in that fireproof safe. If you ever lost a copy or if something happened to it, we can get you another copy for free, but that original one is a good thing to keep someplace safe. The other thing is that keep in mind, especially if you are a new homeowner with school-age children, that deed is proof that you own a house and that you are entitled to send your kids to that school district. So when you go to register your children for school, they're going to want to see that you are, legally allowed to be in their jurisdiction. And so you bring the deed, and that's your proof. The registrar is going to want to see that. So that's another good reason to just keep it safe. But that's when you'll be asked for it. And then it also works at the DMV or MBA as you're trying to get a new driver's license. So it will come in, you will need to use it for various things, but just keep it in a safe place. But that's also why it's important to make sure that your name is spelled correctly, because especially at the DMV with your license, they're going to want to see that it matches. And in the school system, if your name gets spelled wrong, it can be harder to correct. So it's just a good idea to start things off on the right foot. That's what I'll say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Information.
So the last thing that I want to talk to you about, especially for our younger first-time home buyers, but really it is applicable to anybody. But I see it a lot with, we have some early 20-somethings and actually 20s and 30s who are getting into home ownership for the first time, which is a wonderful thing.
Yes.
But what you now have this home, and this home is a huge asset. What we tend to see in our younger home buyers is that they are not thinking about what would happen if they suffered an accident or a tragedy and they passed away. They're not thinking about their wills or estate planning. And oftentimes it's because they really haven't had any major assets that would make them feel like they needed to have an estate plan. But now that they own a home, the answer is you absolutely do. Prior to that, most of our 20-somethings have been like, I have student debt and I have a car, and that's it. But with a home, all of that has changed. Especially if you've owned it for, a couple of years. Now there is serious equity in the home and appreciation. Especially in our area, Maryland, DC, and Virginia, home prices are rising. So even if you've only paid a little bit down on your loan, there may be enough appreciation that all of a sudden, you have tens of thousands of dollars worth of equity in that home. And so you really need to think about your estate plan and what would happen to that asset. So what I'm saying is you need to get a will, and you need to think about who you would want to direct those funds to. Sometimes it goes, straight up to your parents. Sometimes it's like, no, my parents are set, but my sister could really use, or my sibling could use that equity. And so you may want to direct it, or if you don't have anyone in your life that you want to share it with, you can direct it towards a charity. What I will say is, and I'm going to speak more specifically to Virginia law right now, when you die without a will, it's called dying intestate. And if you've passed away intestate, then the state is going to say, okay, we're going to decide who gets what based on who you are. So in Virginia, it immediately goes up to your parents. If that is assuming you're not married. If you're married, it goes to your spouse, or if you have children. But typically with, if you have children, you absolutely need to have a will, or if you have either way, you need to have a will. But if you're a 20-something who may not be married, but you have a child, you need to think about how even if once it's all liquidated, where that money goes and how it is best used to take care of your child. Because what I have seen is that anytime there's money at play and there's no direction, that's when things can get ugly. And so you don't want to create those problems for the people who survive you. You don't want to open that door for fights. And especially if there are no children and if there is no spouse, it is painful for parents who have had to bury an adult child to then have to try to sell their assets, sell their house. And when it comes to a house in particular and someone has passed away intestate, title companies have to get certain documentation, and it is extra legwork from, neighbors, people who are not related to the homeowner who has passed away, that the parents then have to go ask for an affidavit and things like that. It's a lot of work, and it's at a time when a parent may be grieving significantly. So yes, what I will say is once you own that home, go see an estate planner. Or you can always, you can look online. There are down and dirty wills that I don't necessarily recommend, but they are available online. But something is better than nothing. It at least gives some guidance, and there's some documentation there that means that you didn't die intestate and you're not relying on the state to decide where your money goes. And in Virginia in particular, in Virginia, we're going to see a lot of houses people put into a trust, because once it's in a trust, it is easier to sell or easier to pass on. And so it's really important to talk to an estate planner. That's not what I do, but it is important to talk to an estate planner, because then you can identify, okay, this is who I want it to go to. And a lot of times you're going to see it, people who bought a house when they were single and now they're married, or now they have children. Your estate plan will change as your life circumstances change, as people come into it and as people come out of it. Divorce happens. So you need to take that into account. Maybe when you were married, you and your wife, and you have children together, you were going to take care of these children, but now you have divorced, and you may not want your wife in charge of the money for your ex-wife in charge of the money for your children. You may want your sibling you may trust them more to use it for your children's benefit. All of that stuff, as life evolves and as people come in and out of it, you need to take it into account. It may be that you were single, and so you did a will and you were leaving everything to your parents, but 5 years later you got married. You wouldn't necessarily want the house to go to your parents then. You may want it to go to your spouse. So it is, while your home ownership won't necessarily change, what may change is what happens to all of your assets. And I think oftentimes people don't realize how many assets they have, especially, you're just paying down your mortgage every month. You're not really thinking about how much equity is in that house, but especially in Northern Virginia and DC and Maryland, our houses have significant value. We have high home prices, and I think often people don't realize how much value is there, how much money it's actually worth. Because you're just making your payment and you don't think about it, but it is there. And so it's your money. And if, heaven forbid, you should pass away, you want to control where it goes. And so the best way to do that is through an estate plan. And whether that's through a will or whether that's through a trust, at least you have taken charge of that and given the people who survive you direction. And that will make things much easier for them. once you're gone. And so that should really come into play as really once you own the home.
Wow. Wow. That's great information, Jenna. I hadn't considered the equity. I mean, you would think me as a realtor. I always
Right.
think when it goes to sell, how much equity do you have in your house?
Yeah.
You put this thing in the market, this is what you're going to get back. I do the next sheet, but never really thought about it in that regards. As far as if something happens, there's equity that can pass along. People normally look at things that are tangible. Okay, I want the TV, I want the car, I want mom's jewelry and things, but you don't think about the equity in the house, how that can go to somebody. That's powerful. I mean, that's something I learned right there. That's and you know, getting a safe deposit box. I think that's a great housewarming gift.
It really, yes.
Something, but a safe deposit box.
That is a really great housewarming gift.
Everything. I thank you for that tip. You know,
to
look into those.
Yep.
Get one for myself.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing is, they don't have to be these, big onerous bank safes.
Right.
They can be, 9 by 15 or 10 by 15 and portable, because really all you need is for them to be fireproof, right? Or something that is, if you live in California, earthquake proof. Everything can fall on top of it, but it's not going to crumble. And then you just dig out the debris and find your safe.
We just bought one the other day at Walmart for like $30. It's this fireproof box and it has our passports and
they're not expensive, but they will keep
license and all that, just our deed, just all the important documents that you can just grab and go, or if it is in the debris, will be salvaged. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Great information.
Yeah.
I tell you, thank you guys so much for that information. And I know my home buyers and homeowners, and they're going to be excited to just get a little bit more knowledge about home ownership to keep them excited that they did make a good purchase and feel good about it, and then really look at the advantages that they have. And what that's going to do is really help them, like you said, to build wealth. And then, not only just wealth for them, but that generational wealth, because they can teach these same principles to their children's children and friends and family, for the things they learn. So just awesome information. I appreciate that so much.
Great. Well, it's been wonderful coming on today. Thank you for having us. And really, I do think it's these types of conversations when you get the right team together and you're talking about, okay, this is, you are the agent, you're seeing the value in real estate and you're seeing it increase and you're seeing the benefits of home ownership. And then you're bringing on MBH and we can talk about the legal ramifications and the title ramifications and what's important from that aspect. So again, I think it's just about, for homeowners and for people who are looking to get into the real estate market, pick the right team. Surround yourself with good, smart people who can help you anticipate problems before they become problems and help you navigate ways to protect yourself. Whether you are buying your first home for yourself personally, or whether you're looking to become an investor and have a couple of rental properties. There are ways that we can guide you in terms of what's in your interest to protect yourself, and Tim can help you find the right house at the right price.
Right.
And that's really, that's what we're here for.
Yes. And I don't know, Janna, if you want to give your contact information for me, again, I'm the corporate sales and marketer for MBH Settlements. I can help you with any transaction throughout the DC area. My email is jturner, TURNER @mbh.com. Again, it's jturner@mbh.com. And Janna, if you want to.
Yep. So, oops, sorry. So my name is Janna Wolff, and I am the managing attorney of MBH Fairfax. And my email is jwolff, it's JWOLFF @mbh.com. So jwolff with 2 F's @mbh.com. And I can be reached at the office at 703-279-1500. Tim?
All right. Well, thank you so much, ladies. Hey, it's been fantastic. And I know, thank you again for just taking a little sliver out of your time to spend with me. I know you want to get back to the holiday and going on to 2021.
Yes. Happy New Year, Tim.
Happy New Year.
Thank you guys. I'm going to see a lot more of you. Be sitting in front of you guys on the side of the table and really just helping my buyers really just get those keys and, own that new home in 2021. So thank you again. And you guys have a fantastic week. Take care.
Thank
too.
you. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.